An important but often overlooked element in any website is the footer. Yes, it's on the bottom, but people often scroll to the bottom, so you should make sure you provide some valuable and useful content down there as well. Previously, we added a new menu to the footer, but we can make other changes as well to make the site easier to use and understand. The default content of the 2010 footer is a bit clunky, and a lot of the information is unnecessary. There are also some important omissions in the content. In particular, there is no copyright or year displayed. We're going to use some simple HTML and PHP to change the footer so it displays a copyright sign, the current year, and a link to the site itself. That way you tell everyone who visits you own the content on that page. Also, I think it looks professional, but that's just me. If you look at this footer in detail, you'll see we have three main components. First of all, we have the widgetized areas at the top here. Then we have the menu to the left, and this Powered by Bitnami WordPress or Powered by WordPress thing on the right. We want to replace this entirely with other content, and we also want to separate the widgets away from the main footer bar. So we'll do that first. This will all be done in the footer.php file, so let's go to the code editor. Here I'll open the footer.php file and scroll down to look at the content. The sidebar, as we've learned, is called by the simple get sidebar footer. So what I need to do to make that split away from the footer itself is to copy it out or cut it out and then paste it in above it. By doing that, I'm separating it out so that it won't display in the same box as everything else. Now to make it display in a nice box, I'm going to add a container around it. So I'll say div id equals footer sidebar. This is actually a style I created earlier, and the ID will match that new style so that it'll display nicely. And then I'll end that div and just comment it so I know what it is. And when I save this and reload the page, you'll see that the footer widgets are now separate from the footer bar. It's a subtle change, but it's actually really important because it shows that these two are not related. And it also is more visually pleasing. Now that we've done that, we need to start concentrating on this information on the right-hand side. If we go back into the code editor and take a look at it, you'll see that information is here under Site Generator. Personally, I don't think it's necessary to add the Powered by WordPress content unless you really want to. I mean, anyone who goes Ctrl-U on their browser and looks at the source code will see it's WordPress right away. It's not necessary to advertise it. So I'm simply going to comment this out, but you can leave it in if you want to. It doesn't really make any difference. So I'll comment out these two lines and then save it and make sure that what I did actually worked. So I'll reload the page and the content is now gone. Now we can add some new content here. The first thing we need to do is add some copyright information. So I'll write copyright and then I'll add the actual copyright symbol. It's ampersand copy and a semicolon. And I'll save that just to make sure that it works. Reload the page again and it should say copyright and the copyright symbol. That's good. Next, we need to add the actual year that we're in. It's a good idea to add the current year rather than a specific year because you probably will forget to update this. So I'll go in and use a simple PHP call that creates the year. The PHP function is called date. So I'll go PHP and then echo, which means print. And then we'll say date. This just returns the current date. And then I'll just say large Y, which just returns the year and nothing else. The date function actually can return a lot of information, but I just want the year, so I'll just say large Y. Save, reload the page again, and now you see it says copyright, copyright symbol, 2011, which is the current year. The final thing we need is some site information, the name of the site, and it should always link back to the home page. So what I'm going to do here is go and steal it from the header, because we know it's in the header already, so why not just use what's there? So I'll go to header.php, scroll a bit down until I find the heading itself. And here we have that ahref echo home URL line that we've used earlier. Highlight that entire line of code, copy it, and paste it in here. Now again, if we look very closely at this, you'll see it says href, which is the link, and it points to the home URL. The title, if you read it, says get blog info name, which is the name of the blog itself. And then the relation is home. And then this actually displays around blog info name, which again is the name of the site. So if I save this and I reload the page, you'll see it now says copyright 2011 Hansel and Petal, which is the site name, and it's now a link pointing back home. Making some subtle changes to the footer.php file can have a large impact on how the site displays and how visitors see it and interpret it. As a rule of thumb, I always add a copyright statement and a year to the bottom of the sites I build so that it's clear that what is published is the intellectual property of the site owner. It shouldn't be necessary, but it is. You can add anything else you want down there, from a link to your own company, if you're developing the theme for someone else, to a joke or a link somewhere else. It's up to you.